There was once a man named Tomas who believed that life had been unfair to him. He believed it so strongly that after a while, he could find evidence of it everywhere. If his neighbor bought a new horse, Tomas would say the man had been lucky. If someone opened a successful shop, Tomas would say they had connections. If another man found happiness, Tomas would quietly remind himself that some people were simply born into easier lives. And whenever something went wrong in Tomas's own life, he never had to think very long about whose fault it was. It was always someone else's. One autumn morning, Tomas left his village carrying a large stone. It was nearly the size of a loaf of bread, perhaps a little larger, and heavy enough that he had to hold it with both hands. People stopped to watch him pass. His neighbor called from across the road, "Tomas, where are you going with that?" Tomas didn't answer. He kept walking. By noon, his arms were aching. By afternoon, his shoulders hurt. But he continued. At the edge of the village, beneath an old oak tree, he found an elderly man sitting quietly beside the road. The old man watched Tomas approach. Then he looked at the stone. "That's a heavy thing to carry," he said. Tomas stopped. "You think I don't know that?" The old man smiled. "I didn't say you didn't." Tomas shifted the stone in his arms. "Everyone keeps telling me what I should do." "And what have they told you?" "That I complain too much." The old man nodded. "They may be right." Tomas frowned. "You don't know anything about me." "No," said the old man, "but I know something about people who carry heavy things." Tomas looked down at the stone. "Then perhaps you know why I'm carrying this." "I don't." "I was hoping you did." The old man laughed softly. Then he pointed to the road. "Carry it for 7 days." Tomas stared at him. "What?" "Carry the stone for 7 days." "Why?" "You'll find out." "That makes no sense." "Most useful things don't at first." Tomas shook his head. "You want me to carry this thing all day?" "Yes." "For 7 days?" "Yes." "And then what?" "Come back." Tomas looked at the old man suspiciously. "You're not going to explain anything?" "No." "Not even why?" "No." Tomas looked at the stone again. It was ridiculous. 7 days. What could possibly come from carrying a stone for 7 days? Still, there was something about the old man's voice that made Tomas agree. "Fine." The old man nodded. "Then tomorrow morning, begin." Tomas frowned. "Begin? I've been carrying it since sunrise." The old man smiled. "No, you've been carrying it for years." Tomas froze. For a moment, neither man spoke. Then the old man stood and walked away. Tomas watched him disappear down the road. He looked at the stone in his hands. For the first time, it felt heavier than it had before. The next morning, Tomas woke before sunrise. His arms were sore. His shoulders ached. He almost decided to forget the whole thing. But when he stepped outside, the stone was waiting beside his door. He stared at it. Then, reluctantly, he picked it up. His first stop was the bakery. The baker looked at him strangely. "What's that for?" "I'm carrying it. I can see that." "I'm supposed to carry it for 7 days." The baker laughed. "Why?" "I don't know." "Then put it down." Tomas hesitated. For a moment he considered it, but he remembered the old man's words, so he kept walking. At the market, people stared. Some laughed. Some asked questions. Some gave him advice. One man told him he was foolish. Another told him he was wasting his time. A woman said, "If you want to make your life better, you should be doing something useful." Tomas said nothing. He simply carried the stone. By midday, his hands were trembling. His back hurt. His temper was worse. Then, as he was walking home, he saw something that made him stop. Across the road stood a man named Samuel. Samuel had once worked for Tomas. Years earlier, the two men had started a small business together. It had failed. Tomas had blamed Samuel. Samuel had blamed Tomas. They had not spoken since. Now Samuel was standing outside a new shop, a beautiful shop, a successful shop. People were coming and going. Tomas stared at it. Then Samuel saw him. Their eyes met. Samuel looked at the stone, then at Tomas. He smiled, not mockingly, just kindly. "Good morning, Tomas?" Tomas didn't answer. Samuel nodded and went back inside. Tomas continued walking, but the stone suddenly felt heavier, much heavier. That evening, he placed it beside his bed. He stared at it for a long time. Then he whispered, "Why him?" He didn't know whether he was talking about Samuel or the stone. On the third day, Tomas woke angry. He was angry at the old man, angry at Samuel, angry at the baker, angry at everyone who had laughed at him. Most of all, he was angry at the stone. He picked it up and walked toward the forest. He had decided that 7 days was foolish. He would throw the stone into the river and be done with it. But halfway there, he heard a voice behind him. "Tomas!" He turned. The old man was standing on the path. "You came back." "I haven't gone anywhere." "You're about to." Tomas tightened his grip around the stone. "I'm done with this." The old man looked at him calmly. "Why?" "Because I'm tired." "Of carrying the stone?" "Yes." The old man nodded. "Then put it down." Tomas stared at him. "What?" "Put it down." Tomas lowered the stone. It touched the ground with a dull thud. For several seconds he stood there. Then he looked at the old man. "That's it?" "Yes." "You said 7 days." "I did. I've only carried it for 2. "I know." Tomas felt confused. "Then why did you make me carry it?" The old man walked over and placed his hand on the stone. "Because I wanted you to notice something." "What?" "How quickly you blame the stone." Tomas frowned. "What do you mean?" "You hated it because it was heavy." "Yes, but you chose to carry it." Tomas said nothing. The old man continued. "No one forced you to pick it up this morning." Tomas looked down. "No. No one tied your hands around it. No. And no one will punish you if you put it down." Tomas was silent. The old man stepped away. "Yet you spent 2 days angry at everyone except the person who picked it up." Tomas looked at him. For a moment he wanted to argue, but he couldn't, because the old man was right. Tomas had never once asked himself why he had agreed to carry it. He had simply decided that because the stone was heavy, someone else must be responsible for the weight. The old man walked away. "Tomorrow," he said, "pick it up again." Tomas watched him disappear. He looked at the stone, and after a long moment, he picked it up. On the 4th day, Tomas did something he hadn't done in years. He went to Samuel's shop. He stood outside for several minutes before entering. Samuel looked up. "Tomas, I need to ask you something." Samuel put down what he was holding. "What?" Tomas hesitated. "Why did our business fail?" Samuel stared at him. "You're asking me now?" "I should have asked a long time ago." Samuel was quiet. Then he sighed. "You never listened." Tomas looked down. "I listened." "No," Samuel said gently. "You waited for your turn to speak." Tomas felt something tighten in his chest. Samuel continued. "When the business started losing money, I told you we needed to change. You said the market was the problem." Tomas remembered. "When customers left, you blamed the customers." He remembered that too. "When I suggested we close the shop before we lost everything, you said I wasn't ambitious enough." Tomas looked at the floor. "And when the business finally failed," Samuel said, "you told everyone I had ruined it." Tomas swallowed. "I believe that." "I know." There was no anger in Samuel's voice. That somehow made it worse. Tomas looked at the stone in his arms. "Why didn't you tell everyone the truth?" Samuel smiled sadly. "Because I was tired of carrying it too." Tomas looked up. "What?" Samuel pointed at the stone. "Maybe we both carried the same stone." Tomas didn't understand. Samuel went back to work. Some things are easier to blame than to admit. Tomas left the shop without another word. That evening, he sat outside his house with the stone beside him. For the first time, he wasn't angry at it. He was thinking about it. On the 5th day, Tomas visited his mother. She was old now and lived in a small house near the edge of the village. She looked at the stone. Then she looked at her son. "You're still carrying that?" "Yes." "Why?" "I don't know." His mother smiled. "You've been saying that for years." Tomas sat beside her. After a while, he said, "Mother, do you remember when Father died?" She looked at him. "Of course." "I always thought you blamed me." His mother was quiet. "Why would I blame you?" "Because I wasn't there. You were 16. I should have been." "You were 16. I should have known." His mother reached for his hand. "Tomas, your father was ill for a long time." "I know. You didn't cause his illness." "I know. You didn't choose for him to die." Tomas looked away. His mother squeezed his hand. "But you chose to punish yourself for it." Tomas didn't speak. The room became very quiet. Outside, the wind moved through the trees. His mother looked at the stone. "You've carried that longer than you've carried the one in your hands." Tomas looked at her, and suddenly something inside him broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough for him to finally stop defending himself. On the 6th day, Tomas returned to the old oak tree. The old man was there, as always. Tomas placed the stone on the ground. "I understand now." The old man said nothing. "I thought everyone else was responsible for my life." Still nothing. "I blamed Samuel." The old man nodded. "I blame my father." A pause. "I blamed my luck, my neighbors, my failures." The old man looked at him. "And the stone?" Tomas smiled. "The stone was easier." "Why?" "Because I could feel it." The old man smiled. That is often the trouble with invisible burdens. Tomas sat beneath the oak. Was there ever anything inside the stone? The old man looked at him. "You tell me." Tomas picked it up. He examined the crack he had noticed days earlier. He tapped the stone against the ground. Nothing. He tapped it again. A small piece broke away. Inside was a tiny piece of folded paper. Tomas pulled it out. His hands trembled as he opened it. There were only 5 words. "You are allowed to put it down." Tomas stared at the paper. Then he laughed. Not because it was funny, because for years he had been waiting for someone to give him permission. Permission to stop blaming. Permission to forgive. Permission to admit that he had made mistakes. Permission to begin again. And all along, nobody had been holding him there. On the 7th morning, Tomas walked through the village carrying the stone one last time. People noticed. The baker saw him. Samuel saw him. His mother watched from her window. But this time, Tomas wasn't angry. He walked to the center of the village. Then he placed the stone on the ground. He stood there for a moment. Nothing happened. The sky didn't change. The bells didn't ring. No one applauded. There was no great sign from above. It was just a man standing beside a stone. And yet, Tomas felt lighter. He looked at the people around him. Then he said, "I've carried this long enough." No one answered. So Tomas walked away. He went to Samuel's shop. He apologized. Not because Samuel demanded it, not because the old man told him to, but because he finally understood that an apology was lighter than resentment. Then he went home. He opened the old business records he had kept for years. For the first time, he studied them without looking for someone to blame. He found mistakes. His mistakes. He found opportunities he had ignored. He found advice he had refused. And instead of closing the book, he began again. Not by building the business he once dreamed of, but by building a different life. A quieter one. A more honest one. Years later, people in the village would sometimes tell the story of Tomas and the stone. Some said the old man had been a wise teacher. Others said he had been a magician. Some even claimed the stone had been enchanted. Tomas never corrected them. Whenever someone asked him what was inside the stone, he would smile and say, "Nothing." And if they asked what he had learned from carrying it, he would answer, "That I had been carrying far more than a stone." Then he would look at them carefully and ask, "Do you know what you're carrying?" Maybe the stone was never really the problem. Maybe Tomas had simply carried it for so long that he had forgotten he was allowed to put it down. And perhaps that's true for us too. How many things are you carrying today that you no longer need? A mistake you made years ago? Someone else's opinion of you? A failure you still haven't forgiven yourself for? A relationship that ended long ago but still takes up space in your mind? Or maybe a fear that has been sitting quietly on your shoulders for so long that you've started calling it part of who you are. The question isn't always, how can I become strong enough to carry it? Sometimes the better question is, why am I still carrying it? So if you could put down one thing today, what would it be?